In this video, I'm going to be reviewing an AI SEO tool called Rankability. I'm going to share what I like about this tool, what I don't like, and also who I think this AI SEO tool is ultimately for. I'm going to share some other tips and tricks along the way, so be sure to stick around for the full review. And if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Ryan, and I help founders and executives leverage AI to scale content, build trust, and grow a strong personal brand online. And if you want to know my favorite AI tools, prompts, and even some of my automation templates, be sure to get my free AI Marketing Essentials Guide. You can find the link for this in the video description or pinned comment below. Now, a few important things I want to point out before I get into the weeds of reviewing Rankability. And number one, the team at Rankability did provide me with free access to an account. That way I could come in here and test all the features, all the bells and whistles, so I could properly look at everything in order to give you a fair assessment of this tool. And number two, I was not paid to create this video. I do have an affiliate link where I do get kickback if you sign up and try Rankability, and I will leave that link in the video description and pinned comment below. Again, that does help support my channel at no additional expense to you if you want to try Rankability, and I believe they do offer a 7-day free trial, so I'd recommend starting there. If you're an SEO consultant, you're involved in an SEO agency, it'd be worth at least testing this for 7 days and then seeing what you like after that. But I wanted to call those out first before just diving in and reviewing Rankability. Something else I want to mention is that I've been involved in the SEO industry for several years now. I've worked with sites like MarketWatch, Everyday Health, Gizmodo, and several others where I've competed in what I like to call big boy SERPs, or search engine results pages, where you're going after highly lucrative keywords against big players like Forbes, US News, etc. So I'm not some random schmuck on the internet reviewing an AI SEO tool. I have several years of high value SEO experience, so I wanted to call that out first. And I would recommend watching this SEO and AI masterclass that I did for a big time community in school. I'll leave that link in the video description below if you're interested. So the first thing I want to cover in this Rankability review is its website, its founder, and also its pricing compared across similar AI SEO tools. The reason I always like to look at the website first is that typically in the SaaS world, whether it's SEO SaaS, AI SaaS, whatever the niche is, there are always gimmicks everywhere. A lot of SaaS tools will hide things, they'll hide pricing, they'll make their websites look fancy and overkill to try to, get in someone's head that the tool is magic, right? We see these gimmicks everywhere. And the reason I'm saying that is Rankability's site is extremely simple. I actually like this the more that I navigate around it, and it's also straight to the point, optimized for Google, ChatGPT, and the future of search, telling you exactly what this tool accomplishes right in the very first sentence. Then it gets into a quick little demo here of images. It gets into little brief descriptions of all the features that you get with Rankability. They even have some resources on here that you can look into, but I wanted to call that out first. And in addition to the website, another aspect that I always like to evaluate with SaaS tools is the founder. Who's behind the scenes here? Because let's be honest, with most SaaS tools, they're run by gimmicky creators trying to make a quick buck who have no grasp on reality. And that is not the case here for the founder behind Rankability, which is Nathan Gotch. I actually had Nathan Gotch on my YouTube channel. I'll leave that link in the video description below. But he's one of the few SEOs that I have tremendous respect for who's actually creating real-world tutorials. He's in the weeds. He's dealt with a lot of SEO clients, and so he definitely knows what's going on in the world of SEO and AI search. So I wanted to call that out first before I went any further. Now, when looking at the pricing of Rankability, you'll notice that this isn't some cheap $20 a month SaaS subscription. It does start at $149 a month on that basic plan. Then it goes up to $249 on the middle plan, and then $449 a month on that SEO master plan. They do offer 2 months free on that annual subscription, but before I would commit to monthly or annual, I say this for every single SaaS tool review, always leverage the free trial to make sure that this is worth it or not for your specific use cases. And in the case of Rankability, they offer a 7-day free trial, so make sure you take advantage of that first before you commit long term. Now, $149 a month may seem like a steep price point to some, but if you compare this to the top SEO tools in the industry, it's actually not that far off. And so if I look at SEMrush, for instance, they start at $140 a month, all the way up to $500 a month on that business plan. And then if we look at Ahrefs, for instance, they start at $129 a month on the light plan and then go up to $450 on that advanced plan. Now, just my quick analysis, my quick SEO analysis of what's the difference between Rankability and their pricing versus what you pay for SEMrush or Ahrefs, for instance. I think if you're doing high value SEO, meaning that you want to do content optimization for high value keywords that are very lucrative, clients are paying you a lot of money if you're an SEO consultant or an SEO agency, I think the content optimizer here, if I go into my Rankability page with the content optimizer, I think this is the big selling point of Rankability, in my opinion. I'll be honest, I think if you're just looking to do basic SEO work like keyword research, generating articles with AI, maybe even some competitor analysis here and there, I do think you're better off with an SEMrush or an Ahrefs. I'm an Ahrefs guy over SEMrush. I've been using Ahrefs for a while now at this point. And if you're just doing basic keyword research and basic competitor analysis, I think a tool like Ahrefs actually makes more sense. Now, I did pull up my Ahrefs account right here. Couldn't get it on the same browser for some reason. They do have an on-page SEO optimizer now called the AI Content Helper. And sure, there are some valuable insights here and whatnot. But I do think that if you are trying to get in the weeds of optimizing a specific page or pages in terms of on-page SEO, I just found that by testing, this Ahrefs version, and I'm sure SEMrush has a version as well with Rankability's content optimizer, I do find Rankability's platform more valuable in the use case of content optimization. But I'm going to get into that feature a little more in depth later in this review. I just wanted to call that out as I'm comparing pricing between the different tiers here. If you're doing high value SEO work and your focus is on content optimization and on-page SEO, I do think Rankability is worth it versus doing just basic keyword research or basic competitor analysis. You're better off with a plan with Ahrefs or SEMrush. That's just kind of my high level overview here. And before I move on to cover the different features of Rankability, one thing I literally just noticed as I was about to leave this pricing page is the difference in usage and features between the monthly and annual plans. On that $149 month-to-month plan, you only get 50 keyword searches, 16 articles, 20 content optimizers, and some other features here. If I compare that to the annual plan of SEO Specialist, you get 240 content optimizers, 192 articles, and 600 keyword searches. Now, I would imagine that that's per month, so you get 600 keyword searches on that annual plan a month versus only the 50 on the month-to-month plan. So I'm glad I noticed that because that is a huge distinction between an annual and a monthly plan. Typically, there's just a pricing discount, but it looks like there is a huge upgrade here in terms of usage and features when comparing monthly and annual plans of Rankability. So the next thing I want to cover in this Rankability review is the user interface of this tool and then also the features that you see here on the left-hand side. So if you've signed up for a free trial or maybe that beginner tier of Rankability, this is a good opportunity for you to follow along as I explain each feature. So starting off with the user interface, I do like the simplicity of Rankability. There are so many SaaS tools out there that make things convoluted. There's a million things going on in the menu and they just overwhelm you and confuse you. That is not the case here with Rankability, which I think is a big pro in my opinion. And they also make it simple with 3 categories or features on the left: keyword research, content optimizer, and content monitor. I would imagine as time goes on that Nathan Gotch and the team are going to add more features to Rankability, but for now we have these 3. And then on the bottom left here, we have an option for help. So they have different resources like a quick start checklist, SEO masterclass. You can contact support right here. They also host a live mastermind. So if you're a member of Rankability, that is another bonus feature. I don't think they included that on the pricing page, but that's something that I would want to know if I'm interested in SEO, as I respect Nathan Gotch's insights and opinions on things. So that's definitely a really good feature here. Here are just some of the limits and what you have remaining for each month, right? So KR, keyword research, so I have 12 of 20 credits left, CO, content optimizer, CM, content monitor, and then AI credits as well. So this is a good little track here of how many credits that you have left before your plan renews every month, or if you're on the annual plan every year, etc. And then here they have a dark mode, so you can use the dark mode if you want that. And then also just some account settings like billing and whatnot. So just wanted to call that out. And then on the top right, which I actually like this about the tool, for each one of these features of keyword research, content optimizer, and content monitor, there's an option here that says how to use. So they do have a tutorial. So if I click this, there's literally a tutorial for each one of these features that'll help you get started, how to use it, and how to get the most out of it. So I do like that aspect as well. This is just a view, list view versus grid view. And so those are just the main aspects of the user interface of Rankability that I wanted to point out. So first, looking at the keyword research feature, while Rankability does provide really good keyword insights, I mentioned this at the beginning towards that pricing element. I think if you're doing basic keyword research, in my opinion anyways, you're better off with a tool like Ahrefs. Not only does it cost less on that beginner tier, but you do get a lot more keyword searches and keyword analysis, plus more metrics here than what you would get within Rankability. So this is what Ahrefs looks like. I'm not going to go down the weeds of that in terms of keyword research, but compare that to what you get for an analysis here with Rankability. And again, this is just keyword research. I would argue that's a smaller benefit or pro of Rankability compared to these other features here. But if we look at the keyword research element, you'll notice here that I'm tracking 5 different keywords. So you can get up to 20 a month on that tier. This is the free trial tier. So if you were on that basic tier here on the month-to-month plan, you would get up to 50 keyword searches a month. So keep that in mind as well. So you'll see I'm tracking 5, and then I like how it has a keyword difficulty score here, and then it has volume. But if I actually want to get into this in more detail, you would simply come in here, click on your keyword, and then it would give you search intent, keyword volume, the trend. I like how it actually shows the trend right there. Ahrefs has that as well, but you have to click into it. It's another step. So I actually like to see that trend right there on the table. CPC is a very important metric, or cost per click, when doing keyword research. And then also keyword difficulty, meaning how easy or how difficult is it to rank on Google for a particular keyword. And so basically right here, it's on a scale of 1 to 100, right? Or 0 to 100, excuse me. So anything in the green from 0 to 49, you have a pretty good chance of ranking for a particular keyword. Anything that's in the red, especially from 70 to 100, you might as well forget about it, right? So you could make the best piece of content that ever existed, but if you don't have a strong backlink profile or strong trust signals pointing to your website, you're not going to have a shot in Google search results. And so I wanted to call that out first. Then in volume, I believe this is monthly search volume. Yeah, if I had to guess, NordVPN is definitely getting that many searches a month. What I don't necessarily like about this, and again, you can understand you can set your filters in different aspects here. So if I go to keyword, I'd have to hit, keyword contains VPN for Fire Stick. And if I click apply, you'll see it. Then it gets kind of some longer tail versions of my base keyword, which is VPN for Fire Stick. But I had to take that extra step in the filter there versus Ahrefs. What I like automatically here is if I do VPN for Fire Stick, it's going to automatically give me some longer tail versions of that main keyword, along with all of these different metrics here. So I like that as well. Very similar. But let me go back to Rankability here. And then obviously you could go through and find a long tail keyword. You could find the base keyword if you want to write content and try to rank for that. But that in a nutshell is the keyword research element of Rankability. And if you want to start testing a new keyword or tracking a new keyword, you would simply enter the keyword right here. So if I want to do let's just do like best Fire Stick apps, right? Something off the top of my head. You would then click search, obviously where your location is, what your preferred language is. They only have English and Spanish right now. You would click search, and then it would run a whole new analysis based on that keyword. Or you could click the URL tab, enter a URL like I did here for one of my websites, and then it will go through and find all the different organic keyword data for each keyword that I'm ranking on my website here. So that in a nutshell, very high level, is the keyword research component of Rankability. Now, the next feature to cover here is Content Optimizer. And I do think that this is the best feature by far that Rankability provides. I think this is the main selling point, in my opinion. You'll see I have 5 different optimizers running in the background. If you want to start a new one, similar to keyword research, you would come into this box. Let's do VPN for Fire Stick as my target keyword. We want it in Google. We want it in English. And then I'm going to click Run Optimizer. And you'll see there are a few different options here. You can create your own content, or use AI generated content. So I'm going to click on that. And then it takes you to a screen here of AI optimizer options. So first it says, what would you like to generate with AI? You can do an AI brief and outline, so 1 optimizer credit plus 2 AI credits, or you can do AI brief outline and the entire first draft of the article, but keep in mind that'll cost you 5 AI credits. So you'll see I have 50 AI credits on my account right now. I believe on the main plan you get, looks like 16 AI optimized articles. I don't know how many credits that would be, but just keep in mind if you're going through articles with the AI credits, they can run out, they can add up very quickly. Just keep that in mind. So let's do AI brief outline and first draft. For the content type, this would be blog content, but notice all the different content types that Rankability provides. I do like this aspect a lot. There's a difference between a service page, a product review, an e-commerce page, and a buyer's guide versus your typical blog post content. So we're going to do blog content, and here you can provide any additional information that you think is important for this relevant keyword. So right here it says, customize your content with specific details. So I wouldn't recommend getting super detailed with this, but I would at least provide some context, right? So if I'm trying to rank for VPN for Fire Stick, I would say I want you to provide the top VPNs for Fire Stick, such as ExpressVPN, Surfshark, and NordVPN. That's just some industry knowledge here as I work in the VPN industry. Then we're going to click generate. And while that's running in the background, I notice there's a little screen here. So it does take a little bit with those AI credits to generate everything. So I skipped ahead and waited a few minutes for this to finalize. As you'll see, this is now completed. I'm getting a score of 90. And if you're wondering what that means, I'm going to click into this content optimizer and help explain this. So this is essentially a rankability score. And I'm getting a 90. You'll see here it says optimal is 70 and above. So let's click into this. So the rankability score is really how relevant this piece of content is to that target keyword, which is VPN for Fire Stick. So you'll see here anything that is 79 to 100 is very relevant. Strong relevance starts at 48. Anything below 48 is not super relevant. And relevance is very important in this whole scheme of things and on-page SEO. So that's good to see there. Word count is 2,041. So it says the optimal, after it probably studied the first page of Google search results for this keyword, it found that it was between 1,200 and 3,900 for word count. Readability, college graduate. Again, it's saying optimal. I'm guessing it analyzed all those first page results for VPN for Fire Stick. Now, this is what I like too. If you don't like this outline or this brief right here, what I like is it says AI outline. So you can literally only use 1 extra AI credit and you can redo the entire brief if you want to do it that way. This is also kind of a little content management system built in here, which I like as well, right? So if I want to change things, or Canvas mode, for those that have used ChatGPT Canvas mode, you can think of that as well. If I wanted to add things, change things, I like how there's some word processing in here where I can actually go in and edit it versus a lot of these tools do not offer that. I can add links, I can change different header types. So I like that as well. And on the right-hand side, what I like about this is if I click over for content brief, it gives me an overview. It gives me a page URL of what it recommends. I completely agree with that. That's how I do all my URLs with just the target keyword and no random subfolders and subdirectories and whatnot. It gives me a title recommendation, giving me the optimal title link with the primary keyword. I completely agree with that. Meta description, page title, word count, primary keyword, top NLP keywords, which means natural language processing. And then it gives me some content examples that it referenced, which were all in the first page of Google search results. So these are all very important metrics. I really, really like how detailed and granular this content optimizer is within Rankability. And I know this can be a little overwhelming, but on the right-hand side where it says content brief and outline, I also like this, where it's giving me the highest ranking competitors. I can copy that to my clipboard if I want, but it's giving me the highest ranking competitors for that given keyword on Google search results. So I can literally click the URLs provided here one by one and study these. Or if I click outline, this is a really good high-level overview of page 1 of Google search results for that keyword. Yeah, ranks 1 on desktop, ranks 1 on mobile, 2 desktop, 2 mobile, 3 desktop, 4 mobile. But what I like about this is it provides that rankability score right here, gives me the word count, and then it also gives me the exact outline of this particular thing. So it even breaks it down by H2s and H3s. I could even go a little further here, I believe. Yeah, so if you click into this, you can actually look into the content optimizer interface of this given competitor. So I really like how granular this is. And if I go back to the content brief and look at each one of these little elements of on-page SEO, this honestly reminds me a little bit of Rank Math SEO for those who have used that WordPress plugin. That's a more advanced version of Yoast SEO. That's where a lot of SEO beginners start. So I thought I would call that out too. Now, if we look at this optimizer tab, this is the secret sauce here. So this shows, again, the rankability score at the top left. This is the same metrics we've always had here, but you're wondering probably, what are all these green highlighted keywords? These are called LSI keywords, or latent semantic indexing. I think that's the correct term. If I'm wrong, someone correct me in the comments there. But these are essentially relevant or related keywords to that target keyword. So we're talking about VPN for Fire Stick. And so some of these other LSI keywords that we want to keep in mind when we're writing an article about that are IP address, server locations, VPN connection, fastest VPN, Apple TV, not necessarily, in my opinion, VPN protocols. That's definitely an LSI keyword that we want. Geo restrictions, virtual private network. That's actually the VPN acronym for what it stands for, right? Geo restricted content, VPN features, VPN subscription, VPN offers, ISP throttling. So a lot of these LSI keywords are very relevant. Some of these I would argue maybe not so much. That's just me being in the VPN space and knowing what works and what doesn't. But again, here is that first article draft. And then this is, you could copy and paste this right into WordPress, Squarespace, or whatever other, CMS or website builder that you're using. I would recommend WordPress, by the way, so that you can just copy and paste this straight into WordPress. What's also cool is if you copy this and you want to maybe rewrite it with AI, there's the option to rewrite this article with AI. It actually gives you a text box here. So you can say, hey, I like this part, I don't like this part. Maybe add some more of these LSI keywords, remove these LSI keywords, all right within this interface. And it even has a drop down of spelling and grammar, improved writing, rephrase content, key points, tone of voice. So there's just a lot of good elements here in terms of the actual content optimization and on-page SEO. And then it also provides a content brief on the right-hand side. That's also cool to see. And then also the competitors tab. This is a really great breakdown of competitors on Google search results for that target keyword, giving you a high-level overview of word count, rankability score, and also domain score. I'm not really sure how they're grading domain score. Okay, so it's on a scale of 0 to 1,000. Typically in Ahrefs and SEMrush, it's on that 0 to 100 scale. Basically, this is about backlink profile and credibility. How strong is a website in terms of its backlink profile and trust signals? So if a website, according to Rankability, has 1,000 domain score or close to 1,000 domain score, really anything in red here, good luck trying to outrank this, right? Obviously, Reddit is going to have a very high domain score. And so good luck trying to outrank Reddit for a particular keyword like this. Now, best VPN for Fire Stick, thebestvpn.com. They're probably doing some black hat manipulative stuff behind the scenes. We won't get into that. This is an industry notorious for black hat SEO. So they're probably manipulating things here, but they are winnable in my opinion, right? If you have the backlink profile, you have a really good piece of content, it is winnable according to these metrics. So that's just kind of my high-level thoughts. I'm spitballing here as I'm looking at this for the first time. But that at a high level is this content optimizer feature of Rankability. Again, I do think that this is by far the best element of Rankability. If this is a priority for you and you're doing high-value SEO for high-value keywords and you really need to hone in on particular pieces of content, make sure they're as optimized and relevant as possible with the right LSI keywords and whatnot, and all these other metrics, this is definitely something that Rankability excels at. So the last feature to cover on the left is called Content Monitor. This is a very useful dashboard that you'll notice I don't have a lot of data here because I really entered this only a few days ago. So as time goes on, this becomes a much more effective dashboard. And this really monitors your rankability score, which measures content quality and relevance. You'll notice some of these are in the green and then some of these are in the red. Green is good, red is bad. So if something is red on this content monitor score, or this content monitor graph, that means it's probably worth going in and checking that particular piece of content as an update is probably warranted here. So I like how it breaks it down. I gave it my specific URLs here along with a target keyword. And so here it says, optimal RS. So optimal RS would be rankability score. And then it says page RS. So what's your rankability score for that particular monitored keyword? So let's say, I work with Tech Radar and best VPNs is my monitored keyword. The optimal score here to rank high is 80 in terms of content quality and relevance. And then my score is 75. So Tech Radar actually does rank very high for that keyword. So that does make a lot of sense. Let's look at this, for instance, right? This AI Insider Tips, this is a website that I spun up a while ago. For this particular keyword, Poppy AI review, an optimal score is 64, but I only have 31. So that would probably tell me that an update is warranted. I probably need more links to that page. I probably need to improve that particular piece of content in order to stand a chance in the SERPs. But this is just a good high-level overview as time goes on of how your pages and how particular pieces of content are doing in terms of quality and relevance and where you're shaking up in the SERPs at a given point. So to conclude my review of rankability, I want to wrap up with some final thoughts here. And first, I want to say this. If you're an SEO agency, an SEO consultant, or a marketing agency doing high-value SEO work, Rankability is a premium AI SEO tool that I would at least try on a free trial, if not 1 month on that month-to-month plan, and then cancel if you don't find it worth it for your specific use cases. I do think the number one selling point of Rankability, and I've said this multiple times throughout this review, is this content optimizer feature. I think if you're just trying to do basic keyword research, basic competitor analysis, you're better off suited with an Ahrefs or an SEMrush that are similar price points, but they do provide more usage and better insights, in my opinion, on that keyword research element. But for Content Optimizer, if we go back into this like I just showed you in this review, I think that the level of detail here that Rankability provides in terms of LSI keywords, in terms of, content briefs with all these other elements of on-page SEO, it's getting very granular of the on-page elements of the competitors on page one of Google search results for a given keyword. It has a lot of cool and unique AI features within this as well. I like the Rankability score that they've come up with to measure content quality and relevance. So again, looking at that on-page SEO component, Rankability, that's where Rankability shines. And if that is a priority for you, which if you're doing high value SEO, on-page SEO definitely should be a priority, that is where Rankability shines. And I also like the content monitor feature as well. That's a very good high-level overview of kind of your money pages in terms of content quality and relevance. Just a good reminder and warning of what particular pieces of content need updated in order for you to continue to compete in competitive Google search results. So I like that as well. I talked about this briefly too. I think this has to be factored into the value of a Rankability subscription is you do get a monthly mastermind with Nathan Gotch. I would imagine that you get a chance to ask questions and pick his brain on various SEO and AI search related topics. I think that is extremely valuable. Ahrefs and SEMrush definitely do not have a feature like this or a value add like that. So I wanted to call that out too. So the live mastermind, the content monitor, and especially the content optimizer are the big wins here of Rankability. And lastly, the big prerequisite here, if Rankability is worth it or not for you, is that you must be doing high value SEO work. If you just have a niche site or some hobby blog trying to rank high still for top of funnel keywords on Google, I would not recommend getting Rankability. I wouldn't recommend getting Ahrefs, SEMrush, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend doing that at all anymore, as AI search is just going to eat up more and more top of funnel keywords as time goes on, but that's a conversation for another day. And if you've made it this far into this review, first and foremost, I appreciate you. If you found any form of value here, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If there are any other AI SEO tools that you guys are using, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But most importantly, I hope you all have a great day.